This takes us to Muhammad the sinner and the open license from Allah for Muhammad to commit sin. Quran 47.19. You should know that there is no God but Allah, and ask forgiveness for your sin Muhammad, and for the sin of men and women who believe. Allah knew what is changing on you. Quran 48:2. That might God pardon thee Muhammad the sins of the previous and those to follow, to complete Allah's sympathy to thee, and to guide thee to the straight way. As you see here, Allah is giving Muhammad an open door for all kinds of sin. And he granted him forgiveness even for the coming sins, even without the need for Muhammad to ask to be forgiven. At the same time you see the verse says, and guide thee on the straight way. Allah forgives Muhammad for the coming sin and he completes his favor upon Muhammad by guidance. What was this kind of guidance that was not enough to stop Muhammad from being a sinner? On the top of that, he is the light of the world. Muhammad said in the hadiths of Sahih al-Bukhari, Volume 9, p. 403, and Sahih al-Bukhari, Book 93, Hadith 534. So Allah please forgive the previous sins or the ones I will do in the future, and also those sins which I did in undercover or in public, and that which you know better than I. None has the right to be praised but you. Here we go again. Why is Muhammad even asking to be forgiven, when he is granted forgiveness for the coming sin? Things do not stop or end here. Even Muhammad created rules and law that was not from Allah, as Quran 66:1 tells. O Prophet, why do you forbid which Allah hath made lawful for thee, seeking to please your wives? Allah is forgiving and merciful. In this chapter Muhammad was found having sex with one of his slaves in the house of one of his wives, Hafsa. He got into a big fight with his wife. She and his other wives cannot take Muhammad's degradation. Then Allah, himself, no kidding, Allah is always ready for whatever Muhammad wants, even inside the home, sends a chapter threatening the wives of Muhammad that if they don't stop bothering Muhammad's sexual life and his favorite entertainment as in Quran 66:5. Perhaps his, Muhammad's, Lord, if he divorces all of you, he will give him instead of you better wives than you, who they are submissive, believing, pious, penitent, devout, who travel and fast, virgins and divorced. I wonder how big the fight was, to the point God in his heaven is making a chapter about it. Also, why is Allah taking the side of Muhammad against his wives, when all they are asking is for Muhammad to have sex with no one but his wives? If you noticed, Muhammad made a promise not to do it again, but later when he gained more power, he missed the good time with all these women around. He then made verse 66:1, presenting it as if it was Allah who wanted him to have sex with other women, to shut up his wives and to be sure they will never, ever complain again. He made verse 66:5, never, ever complain again. He made verse 66:5. The fact is, Muhammad took this for the Quran from Umar ibn al-Khattab, because he liked it, as we see in the following hadith, the book of Olet Qain fi Olam al-Quran, Volume 1, p. 137. Reported by Anas, the Umar bin al-Khattab said, My Almighty agreed with me in three things. First, I said, O Allah's Apostle, I wish if take as your place of worship the place where Abraham did place to pray. It so came the divine inspiration, p. 137, Quran 2:12-5, and take you Muslims the place of Abraham as a place of prayer. Second, and I said, to the Prophet of Allah, good and bad ones talk to your wives, therefore order them to veil themselves. So Allah sent down the concerning the veiling of the women, Al-Nur 24:31. Third, the wives of the Prophet made a coalition against the Prophet, and I said to them, maybe if the Lord of the Prophet, divorced you, all the wives, and exchanged you with better wives than you. So the verse was revealed. Quran 66, 5, the same as I had said. You can see the same story in Sahih al-Bukhari, Book 8, Hadith 395. Later we will go more in depth into this hadith, but for now, just notice that Umar said, Allah used my words exactly. It's so clear that Muhammad's inspiration was not affected by God, but by the opinion of men around him, even to choosing the Kaaba. It was the choice made by Umar, not Allah. Muhammad just hijacked words, ideas, plans, poems, names, and even stories, as we will see in further reading and researching. Let's again read the verse of Quran 66, 5. Perhaps Muhammad's, Lord, if he divorces all of you, he will give him instead of you better wives than you, who they are submissive, believing, pious, penitent, devout, who travel and fast, virgins and divorced. Notice the following. When all of a man's wives go against him, with no exception, it's very clear proof that Muhammad was not a good man to his wives, as Muslims try to fool us into believing. Why is Allah involved in family matters? If I have a fight with my wife, will Allah send a verse against her? Allah send a verse against her? Have you ever heard about a one-shot divorce from 11 wives? All of them are wrong, but only Muhammad is right. The idea of exchanging the wives came from Umar. Why did Muhammad need an exchange and not to remarry again? Exchange here means that women in Islam are the same as machine parts. They have no value as a person, only the value of a job or a function. Nothing more. This explains why Islam looks down on women.